Why long-distance relationships fail, and how to make yours survive. Most people will tell you long-distance relationships never work, and honestly, most of the time they are right. Not because distance is impossible to overcome, but because most couples enter long distance with the same habits that were barely holding things together when they were in the same room. And when you remove physical proximity, the only thing left holding a relationship together is intentionality. And intentionality is something most people never had to develop when closeness was easy. My name is Mr. Wesley, and today we are talking about long-distance relationships, not the romantic version, the real version, the one that tests everything you are made of as a man and everything the relationship is actually built on. Because here is what nobody tells you. Distance does not destroy relationships. It reveals them. It shows you exactly what was always there, or what was never there to begin with. If you are in a long-distance relationship right now, or heading into one, stay with me, because what I'm about to share could be the difference between something that survives and something that quietly falls apart while both of you are still trying. 1. Give her something that keeps you present when you are physically absent. Before the distance begins, give each other something tangible, something that carries meaning, something that sits in her space and quietly reminds her that she is chosen even when you are not there to say it out loud. It does not need to be expensive. It needs to be intentional. A journal you wrote something in, a piece of jewelry that carries a specific meaning between the two of you, something that existed in a moment that mattered. This is not sentimentality for its own sake. It is a physical anchor in an emotional season that can feel untethered. And in the moments when the distance feels loudest, when missing someone becomes a weight rather than a feeling, having something real to hold on to matters more than most people realize until they are in it. A man who thinks ahead about how to keep his presence felt when he cannot be physically present is a man who understands that love is not just a feeling, it is a practice. 2. Build a rhythm that works for both of your lives. Time zones are not the enemy. The absence of intentional structure is. Long distance fails most often not because of the miles, but because two people never established a sustainable rhythm for staying genuinely connected across them. They start with daily calls that become exhausting. Then the calls become less frequent. Then the silence starts to feel more comfortable than the effort. And by the time either person names what is happening, the distance has become emotional, not just physical. Sit down together early. Learn each other's schedules. Build a communication rhythm that fits both of your lives without requiring either of you to consistently sacrifice sleep, work, or peace to maintain it. Quality over frequency. A 30-minute conversation where both people are fully present is worth more than 3 hours of distracted half-engagement. A man who can build structure in the absence of physical closeness is demonstrating something she needs to see. That he can lead the relationship even when leading it is inconvenient. 3. Build trust deliberately. Do not let anxiety build the narrative for you. Distance creates space, and in that space, an anxious mind will build stories that have nothing to do with reality. She did not respond for 3 hours. She must be pulling away. She seemed distracted on the call. Something must be wrong. He did not mention his plans for the weekend. He must be hiding something. Most of these stories are not true, but they feel true. And a man who acts on feelings rather than facts in a long-distance relationship will create the very distance he is afraid of. Through suspicion, through accusation, through the kind of emotional reactivity that makes his partner feel monitored rather than loved. Proverbs 3:5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." That principle applies here. Trust is not built by having all the information. It is built by choosing to believe the best about someone until they give you a specific reason not to. Ask directly when something feels off. Get your answers from her, not from the stories your anxiety is writing at midnight. 4. Make the conversations count, not just constant. One of the most common mistakes in long distance is confusing volume of communication with depth of connection. Texting every hour of the day does not build intimacy. It builds familiarity without substance. You end up talking about nothing meaningful simply because the silence feels dangerous. And after a while, both people are exhausted from the effort of constant contact without the nourishment of genuine conversation. Pull back from the pressure to always be in contact and invest in the conversations that actually go somewhere. Ask real questions. Talk about what you are both building individually. Share what you are learning. Discuss what you believe. Have the conversations that remind both of you why you chose each other, not just the ones that confirm you are still there. A man who can hold a woman's genuine intellectual and emotional interest across thousands of miles is a man she will fight to get back to, because she is not just missing his presence, she is missing who she becomes in conversation with him. 5. When you are together, be actually together. When the visits finally happen, the temptation is to fill every moment with experiences, dates, activities, plans, because the time feels too precious to waste. But some of the most connecting moments in a long-distance relationship happen in the ordinary ones. Sitting together quietly, cooking something simple, watching something neither of you particularly wanted to watch, but both of you enjoyed because the other was there. Do not put so much pressure on the visit that it becomes a performance. Flights get delayed. Plans fall apart. Energy runs low after weeks of emotional distance. Allow room for imperfection. Allow room for rest. Allow room for the kind of ordinary togetherness that reminds both of you what you are actually working toward. The goal of every visit is not to create the perfect memory. It is to remind each other that the ordinary life you are building together is worth the extraordinary effort the distance is requiring right now. 6. Face the hard parts together instead of letting them separate you. Long distance will test you. That is not a possibility. That is a guarantee. There will be nights when the loneliness feels too heavy, moments when the insecurity gets louder than the trust. Seasons. When the question of whether this is worth it becomes genuinely difficult to answer, do not face those moments alone. Do not sit with the doubt in silence until it becomes a decision. Bring it to each other, not as an accusation, not as a threat, but as an honest acknowledgement that this is hard, and you are both human and choosing each other anyway. The couples who survive long distance are not the ones who never struggled. They are the ones who struggled honestly together rather than quietly apart. They understood that vulnerability in the hard moments is not weakness. It is the very thing that keeps two people genuinely close when everything physical is keeping them apart. And they never lost sight of the bigger picture. The distance is temporary. What you are building is not. Let me leave you with this. Long distance is not the death of a relationship. It is one of the most accurate tests of whether what you have is real. It removes comfort. It removes convenience. It removes the easy physical reassurance that most couples lean on, instead of building genuine depth. And what remains when all of that is stripped away? The intentionality, the communication, the trust, the genuine desire to choose each other even when choosing is costly. That is the actual foundation. If what you have can survive the distance, it will be stronger for having gone through it. And a relationship forged through that kind of deliberate love is one that almost nothing else can easily break. If this spoke to you today, share it. There is a couple in your circle right now navigating the distance and wondering if it is worth fighting for. Drop a comment below. Are you in a long-distance relationship right now, and what has been the hardest part? I read every single one. I'll see you in the next one. This is Mr. Wesley.